Hi guys, today is April 22nd, 2020. Futures are pointing to a higher open, so we may have finally a positive day today as disease is slowing down and oil is stabilizing and people are looking for the open in US economy. So futures are higher and we're jumping to S&P 500. S&P 500 is pointing to, of course, to a higher open, like I said, but I would be again careful with buying any stocks because after we open in May, I think we may have a pullback because people are buying on anticipation of snapback recovery, but I don't know if that's going to happen that fast. So I would be again very careful, but I'm looking for pockets of opportunities. And I have to discuss oil again because a lot of people are asking me about oil and what's going to happen. And I have a separate video on that I posted this morning, and where I discuss what's going to happen, what happened to oil, and how we can profit from this. But in general, these USO, oil, and other ETFs that are trading and very popular, and you have to be careful with them because, for example, USO is front-loading June contracts. The 40% of their money is in June contracts, 55% of their money in July contracts, and 5% in August contracts. So if oil continues to fall, these ETFs will suffer, and I don't know. I mean, nobody will tell you if they can go bankrupt and if they can go to zero, because that never happened before. That oil futures going under zero. So nobody can tell you, but I don't want to be in a stock, or I don't want to be in ETFs. The assets of which is going under zero. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I would stay away from this for now. I don't know, maybe it's a good investment, but I'm not brave enough to jump into this. Okay, so let's jump into other corporate news. Netflix reported a miss on earnings, but beat on revenues. They actually added 16 million subs and almost 16 million subs, and provided very strong guidance, 25% year-over-year increase in active subscriptions, so and active users. So I actually like Netflix, and I think it's a pretty good buy on a pullback, and shares are trading a little bit lower pre-market, but it was a little bit too high to me going into the earnings. It was a little bit too hot, so I think it's going to come down somewhat after this. But I think it could be a good buying opportunity if Netflix drops a lot. So Texas Instruments reported better Q1, beat on revenue, but provided very conservative guidance actually, and the guidance was 64 cents to $1.04 versus $1.03 expected. So, and of course they cited the coronavirus conditions, and but it was a little bit too soft to me to buy Texas Instruments. So for now I would just stay away. IMUX. Okay, so Immunic. So this company rose after they reported preclinical activity of its vaccine against COVID-19, and they're exploring phase 2 clinical trials for their vaccine. So this company is higher pre-market. A very interesting company actually. I've never heard of them before, but so it looks like, I mean, they were trading at $390. Wow, I'm just looking at the chart right now, like back in 2017. But maybe it's a good time, a good swing company, good swing stock. So I would let it open higher, and maybe could do a swing trade on this. That could maybe works. Okay, so GILD, Gilead Sciences, and as you know, Gilead Sciences were in the news lately because of their remdesivir vaccine, but today they're reporting that they struck a partnership with Australia-based OncoInnate to develop new cancer immunotherapies. In general, I think Gilead Sciences in mid-70s is a buy, but in high 80s is a sell. So that's it to me. And other stocks that are jumping this morning, like Inovio Pharmaceuticals, there are not many news on them, but a lot of vaccine stocks are jumping higher. Moderna and Vir Biotechnology. all these stocks are jumping higher, but I think Moderna is a little bit too high to me to buy it, but I actually sold calls, 6 days calls for this week on Moderna, and I think it's a little too high for me to get in right now, but in general, Moderna is a pretty good buy if it comes down a little bit, but Inovio as well, trading close to $11. I told you before that $6 or $7 is a pretty good buy for Inovio, and congratulations that you are making money on this, but I think close to $11, it's too high for me to jump in right now. Vir Biotechnology, though, Vir is not that high and close to $30. I think it's a pretty good buy still. Okay, so GME. GME reported that it's in talks with the landlords to restructure rents after missing some payments. Also, they cited that they retain 90% of the sales in 2/3 of their stores. So they're higher, but it's a physical location gaming company. So I would be very careful to buy this stock. Even though they reported they're restructuring, they're doing well, strong cash position, but still, I would be very careful to buy any stocks with physical locations. Okay, Snap reported pretty decent earnings. Sales beat expectations. Ad growth slows, and 20% year-over-year active user growth. I think Snap is not a bad place to be in right now because users are flooding online, and so it's not a bad place to be. I would fade the open a little. The shares will open higher. And if you want to get into the stock, get in a little bit lower in the 13 plus area would be a good buy to me. CMG. Okay, Chipotle Mexican Grill. They reported really good numbers, and EPS beat. Q1 comps were up 3.3%. Strong cash position. They cited $9.9 million in cash. I mean, very good numbers, pretty good numbers, but it's trading very, very high to me, especially in this environment. But I would still get into the stock, but a little bit lower, maybe under $800. I would be interested in Chipotle's. Okay, so USNA. Okay, USANA Health Services. USANA reported it's a multi-level marketing company. It's producing nutritional products like skincare products and like other things like that has to do with nutrition. And they reported pretty good numbers, though suspended dividend, and that's a company that's could be a good buy in this environment, in my opinion, because they're trading pretty low and they're actually making money on this. USNA. Okay, so IBKR, Interactive Brokers. Actually, Interactive Brokers, I was surprised by this one because I thought they could make a lot of money in this trading environment because trading volume soared recently. But, they beat by EPS, but lower on revenue, so I was very surprised by this, and stock is trading lower a little bit. I would let it fall and maybe pick up some shares in mid-30s. Okay, so NTNT, they reported numbers. They beat on EPS, lower revenue, warns about coronavirus, clouding financial outlook, a strong cash position, and it's a pretty good company to be in. Pays good dividend, and they may come down a little bit on this report, even though they're trading high right now pre-market. But I would be interested in AT&T under $30. KMB. So Kimberly-Clark, that's a consumer products company. They beat the estimates, and they thank to toilet paper scare because that they beat the estimates because of the toilet paper scare, because consumers are stacking toilet papers and other items that Kimberly-Clark actually producing. So that's a pretty good company and to be in, and pays pretty good dividend. But again, it's a little bit too high. I'd like it to come down a little bit to low 130s to buy it. Okay, so Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines reported earnings. Of course, they didn't report good earnings. They reported first loss in 5 years. Seeks to trim cash burn to $50 million to $100 million a day. So, but I didn't expect the good earnings. Obviously, nobody expected good earnings from Delta, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't too bad. And this recent problems with oil that actually could benefit the airline companies a lot, and especially like something like Delta. So I think Delta is a pretty good buy in my opinion. Just like I think LUV, and I actually like JetBlue, and I don't like AAL that much because AAL has a lot of debt, and that debt has to be serviced. But the previous ones, and even UAL actually reported that they're issuing more shares, and I'm not very excited about UAL, but I like Delta and LUV and JetBlue. Okay, so I am also watching DFS, which is Discover Financial Services, to report earnings after market close tonight, and Tesla was downgraded and by Bank of America to neutral, price target 485. I think if Tesla drops below 700, like high 600s, mid 600s, I think it's a pretty good buy. I like Tesla a lot. And the last company that I want to say is DKL. DKL, I reported yesterday. They actually reported pretty good numbers, and yesterday night they said that they're raising their dividend, and they're already paying 40% yield on their shares. So that's a very interesting company to be in, DKL. Okay, that's it, guys. That's a wrap for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and I'll see you tomorrow.